Hi guys, and welcome to my channel. My name is Anastasia, and here we talk about things that can make you both healthier and happier. You know, technology is such a fascinating thing. It makes our lives easier at so many points. For example, if you wanna eat, no need to go to the grocery store and then cook for 2 hours. You can just order a delivery. If you need to wash your clothes, use a washing machine. You wanna update your wardrobe or makeup? Shopping online can be a perfect solution. You wanna go somewhere? No need to walk for 300 miles. Just call a taxi, use a bus, or use your own car. Nowadays, you can even work from home, laying down on your comfortable sofa and enjoying your cup of coffee. And even though technological progress has lots of perks, it also has one huge disadvantage. We don't move enough. A recent study shows that almost 1/3 of adults don't meet the recommended levels of activity, which increases the risk of getting some illnesses such as heart diseases, diabetes, and even cancer. Besides that, the lack of movement can negatively affect our daily lives. For example, we can have back or knee pain, fatigue, obesity, the lack of energy, poor concentration, the high level of stress and anxiety. The human body was designed to move, and as we can see, physical activity is essential for our mental and physical health. And even though more and more people become aware of it and start taking care of their bodies, we still mainly consider movement as going to the gym or the studio. And don't get me wrong, yes, getting muscle and strengthening your body is extremely important, but unfortunately, it's not enough. Our limited perception of movement is exactly the reason why we still suffer from the lack of movement in our lives. And the simplest way to change that and to add some additional movement into your daily life, of course, is to start walking. I know that everyone around is talking about walking, and there are numerous trends about walking on social media. And of course, I got curious about walking as well and had a little challenge on my own. And today I want to discuss where this challenge got me. But before we start, I wanna ask you to like this video and follow me here on YouTube to help my channel to grow. And of course, get comfortable, get your drinks, and let's already begin. I want you to understand that I never perceived walking as an exercise. For me, it was just a way to get from point A to point B. And this is funny because this is how I got the idea about the challenge in the first place. So last year, my husband went to a different country for work and I stayed home alone. And I needed to buy some food. I could order a delivery, but usually they bring bad fruits and vegetables, you know, so better to pick it yourself. So I decided to go myself. But the problem was that supermarket was kind of far. And to be honest, I expected that walk was gonna be tiring, especially coming back carrying some groceries. But what I didn't expect was that I would get so much pleasure from that walk. So this is how I decided to challenge myself and to start walking regularly, at least for a month. I want you to understand that my goal was never to walk a certain amount of steps, because honestly, I hate counting steps, counting calories. The only thing I love counting is money. Actually, fun fact, when I was a kid, I loved taking my mom's wallet, taking out all her money, counting it, and then putting it back. And I was doing it almost every single day. Anyways, I know that you probably heard about 10k steps a day, but I need you to know that it's all marketing. And honestly, it's a bit of a difficult number to hit when you have full working day, and especially if you have family. A new study shows that walking 4k steps a day may already significantly improve your health, but the perfect number is considered 7k. When it comes to my challenge, my goal was to walk minimum 30 minutes a day. I did not want to put any expectations or pressure on this challenge. And actually, it's an important thing to remember when you start something new. I didn't have any fitness goal. My goal was pure enjoyment. And now let's already talk about the effect of walking on my life and what I actually realized during this challenge. The first thing I noticed was that walking brought so much peace into my life. Of course, as any other form of physical activity, walking helps to release endorphins, which helps to reduce stress. But besides this obvious factor, there are a few more things that help me to feel more peaceful. And first of all, I realized that walking is the perfect way to spend some time alone. I know that there are people who find it difficult to be alone, either because they feel bored or because they cannot handle their own feelings. But I believe that being alone is crucial for your growth and for your mental health. It's pretty difficult to get to know yourself, to hear yourself, and to reflect on things when you're constantly surrounded by people. And we need to do those things to be happy. Secondly, I prefer to walk in the morning when everyone is sleeping, no cars are driving around, and nothing is working. The only thing that I want to hear during my walk are tweeting birds. And thirdly, I prefer to walk in nature. I don't have any forest here, but I have lots of farms in my area. Sometimes I go to the park, we have a huge park in the city, or very often I walk on the beach. Nature has such a calming effect on the body and mind, and actually studies have shown that walking in nature, especially some green spaces, can significantly reduce the level of stress and anxiety. And one of the things that I started to do recently, when I go to the park, for example, I started to walk barefoot. It makes me feel so grounded and present. It's like I'm connecting to nature with my own body. It's like I'm dissolving in nature, becoming a part of it. I don't know how to describe it. It's such an amazing feeling. I'm telling you, you should try it yourself. So these three things make my walks so peaceful. And actually I noticed that thanks to walking, I became more peaceful and calm in my regular life. The next thing I noticed, I became more mindful. And to be honest, it happened so effortlessly. I mean, when you walk alone, it might be boring at some point, and you just start looking around, paying attention to the things surrounding you, and consequently, you start noticing things that you didn't see before. For example, I noticed lots of growing fruits on the farms. I noticed different animals that I never saw before here, Or for example, when I go to the beach, I noticed that there are lots of extremely beautiful shells there, They've been always under my feet, but I just never paid attention to it. Or for example, I found out that there are gorgeous birds living in my area. And they're always flying above me, but again, I never paid attention to them. And the interesting thing is that the more you notice the stuff, the more curious you become, and you start seeing life in a completely different way. I'm telling you, it's such an eye-opening experience. I've realized that I've been living in some kind of vacuum my whole life. And with time, the more you notice, the more you open the world, you start feeling so grateful, which of course helps you to feel more satisfied and happy in daily life. Moreover, it becomes much easier to handle difficulties because you stop perceiving obstacles as something tragic, you just perceive it as a part of journey, a part of life. And now we are finally moving to the physical benefits of the walking, and the first thing I want to discuss is sleep. A recent study proved that low-impact exercises such as walking improve the quality of your sleep, and honestly, I noticed that from my experience as well. Before walking, I was already doing Pilates and I was running, but since I added walking into my life, I started to sleep more and I started to sleep tighter, better. I want you to understand that I'm a very emotional person. Consequently, I'm anxious by nature, plus I'm a very sensitive sleeper. I mean, I can wake up because someone is staring at me. And why I think that walking helped me to sleep better, because first of all, physically you spend more energy than usually, and of course your body needs more time to recharge and rest. And secondly, as I mentioned before, walking makes me so peaceful. It helps me to deal with my anxiety, which calms down my nervous system. And of course, I can sleep better. And actually, I made a little observation on days when I skip exercising, I don't do anything at all, no walking, no Pilates, no strength training, I fall asleep longer, it takes more time than usually. And the other physical benefits that I want to mention are endurance and getting rid of back and knee pain, which I had problems with for a long time. I think in the podcast about Pilates, I already talked about me having a huge break from sport for about 8 months because I was going through a rough time, and the huge level of stress and the lack of movement made me so weak. I'm telling you, I never felt so weak in my entire life. I mean, I started to have lots of pain in my body. I started to feel dizzy. I fainted a couple of times, which never happened to me before. I started to have insomnia. I was feeling tired all the time. It was such a disaster. For example, I remember we went for a walk to the beach, and yes, it was summer, it was very humid, and summer in Arabic countries, it's a damn hell, and I'm from cold country, it's not exactly my weather. But still, I remember I walked for 10 minutes and I felt so exhausted. But when I started exercising, and especially when I added walking into my life, I started to have much more energy. I started to sleep better. I started to feel stronger. I got rid of any pain, and most importantly, I can walk for hours. Remember the store that I mentioned in the beginning? For the first time when I walked there, it took me 1 hour to go and come back. And now it takes me 30 minutes to go and come back. And I don't put any effort in it. I'm not trying to rush or something to walk faster. I'm just simply walking regularly. And remember the walk on the beach and my 10 minutes? I sounded like a pity guy. And now I can do more. So yeah, this summer we went for a walk to the beach as well. Same weather, disaster, 50 degrees, humidity, but I walked for 30 minutes easily. I could do even more. But we started to feel sweaty, uncomfortable, so we left. But the point is that I would never think in my entire life that simple walking can do something like that to my body. So what do we have at the end of this podcast? I'll tell you honestly, walking became one of my favorite forms of physical activity. I love walking so much and it's such an important part of my routine now. I know that it may sound crazy, but that walk to supermarket changed so much in my life, and honestly, I will be forever grateful to myself for doing that. And I'm telling you, if you're struggling with consistency in your movement routine, or for example, you have no idea where to start, I swear, walking would be perfect to start rolling the ball. It's easy, it's accessible, and most importantly, it's so enjoyable. You can listen to music or a podcast. You can go for a walk with your friend or a partner. You can explore the city or the area you live in. For example, I love to put my favorite music, and when I go for a walk, I start dancing, running, singing, and perhaps other people think that I'm crazy, but I don't really care because honestly, I'm having so much fun. But of course, I want you to understand that walking is not the only thing that I'm doing. I'm doing Pilates, I'm doing strength training, I'm doing mobility workouts, posture workouts, I love running, for example. All types of movement are equally important, and all of them together will help you to get an excellent physical shape and healthy mind. Your only task is to find what is most suitable and enjoyable for you. For example, a certified trainer Melissa Boyd says that for your overall health, you need 3 types of movement. The first movement is something daily, like walking or stretching. The second movement is athletic, to improve your strength and power. And the third movement is social movement, to connect with others and to have some fun, for example, dancing or playing tennis, etc. What can I say? I have nothing to add. Sounds pretty good to me. Well guys, I hope you enjoyed today's podcast, and if you want to share your experience with walking, you can do it in comments. And of course, as always, I want to remind you to like this video and follow me here on YouTube to help my channel to grow. And today, I want to wish you to find a form of physical activity that you will truly love with all your heart. And of course, have a beautiful, beautiful day. And I will see you in the next podcast.